Hey everyone, if you've seen any of my videos or follow me on Twitter, you'd know that I'm a K-pop fan. I may not buy a lot of merch or join official fan clubs, but I still have my favorite group, I listen to others, and I hear about industry news here and there. What I don't do on my YouTube channel is talk about K-pop in length like I do on Twitter, but I guess this shows there's a first time for everything. So if you don't care for K-pop, I don't really know how beneficial this video will be for you, but there's no harm in sticking around. I'll explain as much as I can for context before expressing my thoughts, and I will be explaining a lot. Along with working as record labels, K-pop companies also work as talent agencies and music production companies. There are usually multiple groups under one company, and several music producers and other creatives are heavily associated with at least one too. The big four in South Korea are currently JYP, YG, SM, and, one of the subjects for this video, HYBE. Previously known as Big Hit Entertainment, HYBE is known for groups like Les Seraphim, TXT, and the most popular and one of the most popular groups in general, BTS. Right now, there's a very public power struggle between HYBE and Min Heejin, the CEO of one of its subsidiaries that created their girl group New Jeans. Something important to note is that she's not just Adore's CEO, but the creative director for New Jeans too. Just letting everyone know that Min Heejin of Adore and Jeon Hee-Jin from Luna are not related in any way, as I'll be referencing the latter later. According to a CNBC article, HYBE is set to file an official police complaint against executives of its sublabel Adore on charges of breach of trust and other offenses after the company opened an audit into Adore on April 22nd over allegations that CEO Min Heejin was aiming to take the sublabel independent. Hee-Jin and others have been accused of trying to make Adore independent through leaking confidential information within HYBE for investors, which also made HYBE request for her to step down as Adore's CEO. She responded to these accusations by accusing HYBE of copying New Jeans' concept for Islet, a new girl group under another sublabel. Then a few days ago, Hee-Jin held a press conference where she tried to argue her side of the controversy, but I'll get back to the actual power struggle later. This isn't really about that. This video's content warning mostly revolves around Hee-Jin's previous controversies relating to New Jeans and the possible inspiration she's taken for their art direction, as well as one of the other groups she worked with, like the boy group SHINee. None of this has gotten her into any legal or professional trouble, but it's been a recurring discussion among different group fandoms, and it all blew up with New Jeans. However, not all of her controversies will be listed here. As the group's creative director, Hee-Jin's been praised for the way she implements late 90s and early 2000s aesthetics into New Jeans' music videos and promo. She and the rest of the creative team for this group make these videos look unique, at least for K-pop, and lean into the stereotypically American coming-of-age high school teen concept in Korea known as high teen. But while this art direction seems appropriate for New Jeans at first glance, considering that the members were 13 to 17 when they debuted as a group, there have been several instances of concern for underage members being sexualized. For example, with an ID-sized card photo shoot, one underage member at the time was styled very similar to the child character from 1994's Leon the Professional, a movie that's been confirmed to be based on the filmmaker's predatory relationship with a teenager. Natalie Portman was 12 at the time of playing this character in the movie, and she's talked about the negative effects it had on her sense of safety and how it furthered her objectification as a child. Even when Hee-Jin wasn't directly involved in other controversies involving New Jeans, like with the lyrics for one of their songs, Cookie, having suggestive euphemisms, she still approved these creative decisions as the group's subsidiary CEO. She also posted an Instagram collage of Brooke Shields, who was heavily sexualized as a child within the Hollywood industry, and she was scantily clad in some of these images. Hee-Jin had other photos on her wall of scantily clad young women that included one exposing her underwear. Even though neither of the people in these photos were actually minors as far as I know, like with Jane Birkin's appearance on the Histoire de Melody Nelson album cover, these two images notably revolve around the subject matter of young girls being sexualized in some way. The photo of the woman with exposed underwear is from an Italian comedy movie about an older man romantically pursuing his teenage stepdaughter. The Histoire de Melody Nelson album is about an older man who's romantically pursuing a teenage girl whose fictionalized character appears on the cover. According to the magazine Another, the album cover emphasizes the titular character's contradicting naivete and sensuality with the image of innocence with rosy cheeks and a toy monkey clutched to her bare chest, her blue jeans folded down at the waist to accommodate her early pregnancy. While I can't find any reliable news sources about this event and could only find a tabloid article briefly discussing it, SHINee fans have said Hee-Jin directed the group to pose shirtless in compromising positions for an album shortly after becoming legal adults, and emphasized their youth by having the creative team Photoshop a member's abs out. From what I've heard, some of the members were uncomfortable with the photo shoot. She's also directly commented on K-pop trainees and idols' youth. In a Beattitude article, she says that when she went out to mingle with the youngest NewJeans member alone, who was 13 at the time, Hee-Jin still remembers bathing in her refreshing energy, and the sublime weather only added to the effect. At a press conference, when discussing the trainees she recruited for NewJeans, she reportedly said one of the reasons she recruited only one from another HYBE subsidiary trainee lineup is because the others were too old. This lineup was apparently training for Les Seraphim, a group consisting of 17 and 18-year-olds and early 20-somethings. The oldest member is 26. Hee-Jin also reportedly said the current NewJeans member she recruited was much prettier when she was younger. One unofficial translation says, "Among Source Music trainees, Min Heejin was the only one I recruited because the other remaining trainees were either not skilled, too old, or didn't match with my principles. Min Heejin was so pretty when she was younger, way more than she is now." I also Google translated the video clip where she's talking about the trainees, and even that translation basically says the same thing. Among the female trainees from Source Music, the only one I could select was Min Heejin. Now the rest of the trainees either needed more practice or were too old. And Min Heejin was very pretty when she was young, and she was even prettier than she is now. So while it's not confirmed Hee-Jin used the images she had in her possession for NewJeans styling and art direction as a group, she clearly has a pattern of fixating on and even sexualizing the idea of teenage youth, including how she interacts with and talks about real teenagers. It's also implied through her comments that she failed to set professional boundaries with NewJeans by talking about how she thinks of them as friends while letting them into her house and going out with them alone, even though she's not just significantly older than them, but their boss and the CEO of their company. During her conference, she reportedly revealed that when the members heard about her audit with HYBE, they said they'd come to her house to console her for having a hard time with the situation, and that one member even cried with her on the phone for 20 minutes and apologized to Hee-Jin for not being able to help her when she was going through a difficult time. Hee-Jin may not have legally done anything wrong involving her relationship with these groups, as far as we know, but it's no surprise that people are still concerned about her being around people so young based on the public information about her and how she supervised different groups over the years. The fact that she probably took inspiration from Natalie Portman's character from Leon the Professional to photograph an underage girl is very inappropriate, and for her to possibly further project this fixation onto real children through other means is just gross. But that's not really the point of this video. It's more about how many K-pop fans will prioritize the reputation of their faves and their faves' companies over anyone's actual well-being. Many NewJeans fans pushed back against several controversies about the group possibly being exploited by claiming that people bringing up these concerns in the first place were objectifying NewJeans themselves and were jealous of their huge success, apparently bitter that their own favorite groups couldn't reach similar heights. But that's not true. I really liked NewJeans' concept and music when they debuted. I made a tweet saying that I thought their genuinely great music and proper execution of their concept would change K-pop for the better. Everyone on my timeline was raving about it. We all liked NewJeans when they first came onto the scene, but now that there's been a plethora of creepy behavior within their company, people don't want to contribute to supporting their possible exploitation. No one's blaming NewJeans themselves. I would have stanned them if they were adults, and there'd be almost no controversy about their concepts and songs because none of them would be literal children for it. There was huge denial within the fandom that Cookie had any euphemisms, and the song really was about either baking cookies or listening to NewJeans music. Despite the music video having no footage of baking, the song itself sounding unusually slow and sensual, and Adore making an unnecessarily long, condescending official statement to explain the song's meaning. Sorry for the robot voice in advance because I don't want to say this stuff out loud, but some of the English lyrics read,
"If you want it, you can get it. Keep looking at my cookie. Take it, don't break it. I wanna see you taste it."
Some of the official translated Korean lyrics read,
"Made a little cookie. Come and take a lookie. Baked at my place only. Come get some."
Yeah, so obviously Adore isn't gonna outright admit that this song isn't as innocent as fans claim it is, because that'd mean a PR disaster that'd probably be impossible to recover from. But the people who are neither morbidly online nor children who genuinely don't know any better could see that this song isn't just about literal cookies or listening to music. If you make that argument about cookie, then Hee-Jin's video game is just about video games, even with all its euphemisms. And apparently there is no such thing as context, metaphors, or euphemisms anymore. Adore's statement even reflected what many fans were saying in response to questions about Cookie's lyrics. What we don't condone and what we regret to see is those people who stir up controversy for its own sake, but under the deceptive guise of protecting minors. It seems inappropriate to fill the heads of the very people they claim to want to protect with slang terms they're unlikely to learn anywhere else using sensational means. And good God, it worked. Now, whenever anyone says anything even remotely critical about New Jeans' portrayal as teenagers, they're called weird for thinking that way, and you can use Adore themselves as proof. It's really unfortunate to see how skewed age is in our mainstream societies for women and girls. K-pop is no different, and it probably makes the obsession over female youth worse with underage idols. Some fans believed one of the Kepler members performing a New Jeans song on stage was too old for the concept. I remember one tweet saying she was so full of youth, like it was unexpected of her to be at 26. It's all just so frustrating. People either act like those expressing concern for kids in the industry as it is are exaggerating the potential harm, or they act like there's nothing you can do about it, so you might as well mindlessly support them anyway instead of choosing to avoid their music altogether, or even just criticizing their companies. Because if you really cared for them, you wouldn't want their careers to be ruined just like that, would you? Then there are the company stans. While this is nowhere near a unique phenomenon among HYBE group fans, a lot of them are also called company stans for constantly defending and praising it as an actual company. You'd think they were employees from how many hills they died on to prove HYBE was a beacon of hope in the K-pop industry. No matter what the execs say or do, they're far better than everyone else in this awful cesspool, and questioning the tactics of a conglomerate acquiring several other companies is actually evil and indicative of, you guessed it, jealousy and bitter hatred. You're jealous cause your faves companies suck and aren't as profitable and big as HYBE is, as if you can't like these groups and dislike the corporate decisions their companies make at the same time. As if you can't be a Luna fan and still hate Blockberry Creative. A Blockberry loving orbit is like an oxymoron at this point. Some people have even praised HYBE for its employee benefits, not because they genuinely care about companies treating their employees better, but because of fan wars. They really love screaming about which company is the best, because if your faves company is the best, that means your faves are the best. Can you imagine company stands for something like Sony Music? This company standing trickles down to anyone expressing concern for New Jeans and their company profiting off of and even encouraging predatory behavior. I already mentioned the Adore statement, so it's safe to say that fans are using its HYBE subsidiary status to ward off criticism, because any friend of HYBE is a friend of mine, even local Zionist Scooter Braun. Are you really an army if you're uncomfortable with BTS's company working with Zionist Scooter Braun in broad daylight? You just hate BTS and want to make them look bad. There are many people who already disliked Hee-Jin for her creepy behavior, including HYBE group fans. But some company stans are definitely trying to make HYBE's fallout with her a petty competition for which K-pop company is the most corrupt, so the ones their own faves are under can look better or more valuable. The well-being of idols and workers in general might as well be an afterthought, if not immediately weaponized for fan wars. All this sudden concern about Hee-Jin's recent behavior and comments is interesting, to say the least. I've never seen this many people express their resentment toward her before. Again, there were already lots of people who disliked her for a while, and some K-pop fans may only know of her from the public fallout she's having with HYBE, but many tweets I've seen about her lately aren't talking about her pattern of predatory behavior. They're talking about the potential threat to other groups' reputations because of her. Of course, you can't dislike her for being creepy, needlessly antagonistic, and unprofessional with other groups all at once, and there are plenty who do, but many K-pop fans have a problem with prioritizing serious issues that don't automatically affect the celebrities they like. There's been a lot of vocal support for Hee-Jin up till now, and not as much ire as before, even with the controversies surrounding the images she had in her possession. Other K-pop fans were constantly dismissed when mentioning her past behavior. Hee-Jin was seen as the golden artist in mainstream K-pop for New Jeans concept, especially because she works for HYBE and manages one of its subsidiaries. subsidiaries. Defending her meant defending her girl group because fans believed she could never manage the members inappropriately based on their concept, tapping into something that's been largely unexplored in 2020's K-pop till then and partially catering to some kind of idea of girlhood. The HYBE boy music videos include a scene where some guys mock New Jeans dancing, something boy groups do with girl groups all the time in K-pop. So with little details like that, fans believe this meant Hee-Jin not only wanted to understand young women and girls, but was always well-meaning with her own girl group, no matter the controversies they get into for their concepts and official styling failing to be age appropriate. Many New Jeans fans also believed that any publicity was good publicity because the group members themselves weren't to blame for these controversies. If so many people were talking about them at all, that must have been a good thing. Lots of people hand-waved questionable things for the sake of pretty videos and music, and are now just changing their minds only because Hee-Jin took pot shots at the idols they like. Instead of being genuinely worried about the idols who work under her, they're more worried about proof that their faves must be doing something right because she mentioned these groups at her conference and was accused of wanting to sabotage them in some way through her conversations with HYBE's former CEO. K-pop fans will trivialize serious issues involving their own faves in a myriad of ways. Someone could be as well-meaning as possible when criticizing an idol doing something wrong, and then someone else will basically reply with, "So you hate them and are jealous of their success because your faves aren't as popular?" And this isn't to say that HYBE's innocent in every way and Hee-Jin's just making things bad for executive peers. If HYBE really valued New Jeans' safety like they say they do, they wouldn't have let all these young kids train under their agencies in the first place with the way the mainstream K-pop industry is, because one New Jeans member wasn't even 14 when they debuted. At the very least, they wouldn't have let Adore sexualize the group whatsoever, whether it be through song lyrics or wardrobe the members themselves specifically aren't wearing in private, as opposed to a team of grown adults styling them for the public. And they would have cracked down on Hee-Jin seeing the members alone in her home and prevented their relationship from getting to the point where she revealed to hundreds of thousands of people that her teenage employee called her in the middle of the night crying because she believes she's responsible for her much older employer's emotional well-being, but hasn't even actively done anything to be directly involved in this power struggle. Hee-Jin's the one dragging these girls into this mess. HYBE's history with underage idols was always pretty careless too, to say the least. They didn't prevent Cookie's lyrics from turning out the way they did. They didn't prevent underage Les Seraphim members from dancing HYBE-approved choreography with suggestive dance moves. They didn't prevent underage BTS members in the past from also dancing official choreography with similarly suggestive moves either. So what do company stands even mean when they say HYBE isn't corrupted like the others are? That they're corrupted differently or something? They can still be corrupted even if they really were corrupted the least. That's still bad and they can do better. And even after all of this, some New Jeans fans are still defending Hee-Jin, even saying the group should kiss their concept and success goodbye if they don't join her and leave HYBE altogether. These specific fans don't care about the actual members either, and some were more worried about the group possibly delaying their comeback than anything else, though that didn't happen. The world might as well be on fire as long as these fans can consume their music on schedule. It's just two sides of the same coin that fail to acknowledge that both things can be true at once. HYBE's execs are corrupt, but she isn't. Hee-Jin's corrupt, but they aren't. Not to mention the fans who are also hand-waving the lack of professional boundaries she has with the group by just chalking it up to a motherly relationship. What's wrong with them caring for each other? Haven't you ever bonded with a teacher before? You're the creep for thinking about it that way. And yeah, I know not all New Jeans fans are like this, but many of them are, and it's very weird. I admit that it's really funny seeing all this public fallout. Grown industry professionals have been acting so immature with each other lately, especially Hee-Jin. I enjoy seeing her potential downfall this way. I genuinely believe this press photo of her at her conference looks iconic, and I hope it ends up in history books someday. And there's just so much stupid, petty drama to laugh at. Eyelet's creative director posted middle finger on her Instagram without context, apparently in response to what Hee-Jin said about the group copying New Jeans. According to tabloids, HYBE also released a press statement accusing Hee-Jin of talking to a shaman about different groups. When discussing the New Jeans trainees, she asks, "These dumb kids will listen to me obediently, right? None of them will give me any trouble?" I don't even know how to respond to that. So in response, Hee-Jin spent much of her conference name-dropping like her life depended on it and revealed some really petty conversations she had with HYBE's former CEO. She said he asked her if she could get New Jeans to outdo the girl group aespa. She laid out the weird gripe she had with some of LE SSERAFIM's trainees debuting. She said she never asked her shaman friend when BTS was going into mandatory military service for less market competition in K-pop. She even mentioned that the girl group G-Friend's recent disbandment wasn't her fault, and Billie Eilish was once an option for a HYBE benchmark. She also mentioned Eilid's creative team copying New Jeans here too. The crazy thing is that she's right about K-pop companies taking a lot of inspo from them, if not outright ripping off their concept. They're a very popular group right now, despite all the weird stuff their boss has been up to. From songs being less than 3 minutes long, to a group's fashion style for comebacks, and the cinematography for these music videos themselves, New Jeans, for better and worse, changed K-pop a lot in the span of less than 2 years. I guess I was half right in my prediction tweet. If you ignore that they weren't the first to make drum and bass, and Pink Panthers was the first to really reintroduce it to the public back in 2020, there are a lot more K-pop groups exploring that musical genre now because of New Jeans music being specifically within the industry instead of outside it. But I don't understand how accusing HYBE of ripping Hee-Jin off disproves accusations against her for, and I can't emphasize this enough, leaking private information to incite a power struggle. I even understand why she mentioned specific groups, since HYBE accused her of trying to sabotage some of them. She said the company broke an agreement with her to debut New Jeans before LE SSERAFIM, and if that's true, that's genuinely bad. But from what I've seen and heard, the way she tried explaining herself was trivializing. In my opinion, bringing up Billie Eilish, aespa, and how long New Jeans members cried on the phone with her was unnecessary. And those text messages about LE SSERAFIM's trainees weren't even about debuting them first. It seems like she was asked if they could debut at all, which upset her, God knows why. So while she was obviously trying to defend herself from all these accusations, she probably did it in a specific way to distract people from any of her wrongdoing. It's no doubt working for all these tabloids, which say she's mentioned 10 groups at her conference. There are jokes about WJSN fans wishing she mentioned them too, so they can get some media coverage like all these other groups are. I'm not saying you can't joke about any of the stupid things she brought up. I'm just saying she's probably being misleading. Regardless, people all over my timeline were pointing and laughing, rightfully so. Apparently, her own lawyers nervously laughed at her during her conference and tried their best to soften the inevitable PR blow coming their way by explaining her words in real time. So I may not be the first to want this, but I'd really like someone to re-upload the conference with English subtitles for full context. I'm surprised the official YouTube upload doesn't even have Korean closed captions, which is ridiculous. You can have multiple feelings about Min Heejin at once. You can like her creative direction with New Jeans in a vacuum, and wish it was given to an exclusively adult member group. You can say she's acting really stupid right now, and her ramblings are really entertaining. You can also acknowledge she's a creep. No one's stopping you from thinking any of this stuff. You don't have to defend her. You don't even have to act like you never liked New Jeans music and concept at first without knowing about her actions, past and present. I'm talking about myself. I didn't know this woman existed before New Jeans debuted, and being unaware at first is okay. What's not okay is dismissing valid concerns others have for not listening to their music at all and pretending Hee-Jin and her peers can never be ill-intentioned or just plain careless. I don't know what's gonna come out of all of this, but I really do hope all the idols involved are okay. If their higher-ups only learn one other thing from this fiasco besides debuting minors isn't the best idea, they can at least learn to keep it civil.